like eXp Nation is going wild today.
All right. So
Everybody's
we gonna get
excited.
rowdy? We gonna
Oh,
get
it's
rowdy?
going to be, it's kind of what happens when you get, all the stars align and the dream team gets put together and gets to work together, all in
There
one
you go.
place. One team, one dream.
There you go.
So,
Cool.
so Curtis, what would you like to tell us? Because like everyone that's joined EXP, there's a process that we all go through
Yeah.
before we end up saying yes.
Right.
And I just kind of want everybody to understand your process because I think everyone's in a different place, maybe happy where you're at. What
Well,
was it that made the difference for you?
I think everybody's a no initially, right? Yeah, I mean, you have to be a no. If you're a yes out of the gate, I don't know, it kind of freaks me out a little bit, right? I don't know. We were, it was a long process. And I've only been over EXP for a day, like not like yeah, I guess exactly a day. And I'm just super stoked to launch out this dream team stuff and talk about what that journey's like and what we're going to be doing and just super stoked about it. So I guess my journey. Can I give a little backstory? I guess like how do we kind of get into
That's a great
having
idea.
a conversation and stuff like that? Because if not, we're going to get out in left field. I know I'm going to forget, and I told I was going to share a story, and I know I'm going to forget it if I don't.
Can I at least preface? I mean,
Oh no.
I assume everyone knows Curtis Johnson because I always like to say you were the first in the first 30 under 30. You're telling me it's the second 30 under 30. I thought it was the inaugural edition.
I think it
Um,
was the second one. It's on my wall. That's funny. Right? Let's
right.
see.
So
There it is. Like
yeah,
it was what year? May of 2002. Dude, that's
2002, and you've been selling basically since then a couple hundred homes a year ever since then. So you guys do the math; it's like over 5,000 homes he's sold in his career. One of the top agents in the world in terms of production, and so yeah, it's a big deal when Curtis Johnson makes a decision. It's not taken lightly.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah,
Cool.
and so you have a story. I'm actually a little bit concerned because as
You
you
should
know,
be.
uh-huh,
You should.
yeah,
No, but Jay, I know where all the bodies are hidden, but I'm not going to share them all right now. But I will,
thank you.
I will share one story, and it's kind of having to do with, everybody starts at no, but what makes you be open to it? And you've talked a lot about the kind of being radically open-minded, and I don't think I'm always radically open. I mean, I feel like I am, but I don't. Maybe not. But if you guys don't know Jay, he's, I think the first time we talked, I don't know if you remember this, right? So when this came out in the 30 under 30 in 2002, I got, a bunch of calls from people across the country and different stuff like that. One of them was this young punk kid out in Lawton, Oklahoma, which I remember because I was like, what is this place called? And he's like, oh, dude, this is really cool. I love your story, man. This or this. And I'm like, dude, just chill for a second, right? And he's like, here's the deal. I'm going to be on it next year. And I'm like, yeah, I know you will, dude. I could totally tell you're going to be on it. Yeah, sure. But you were on it. And I was like, because it stood out to me. And then, when I saw it, I was like, holy cow. And so I reached back out, talked to you. And then we had met up at a couple of Proctor events, just a little bit, didn't really know each other that
Yeah.
well. But the story was, so 2005 was really the time we really started kind of hanging out and started masterminding quite a bit. And it was in San Francisco, if you remember. It was in, I think it was a spring one, but it was with Coach Ken. Coach Ken Goodfellow was my coach at the time. Amazing guy, just absolutely incredible. So it was at, I don't know if it was the Fairmont or whatever it was in San Francisco. Totally, it was really expensive, really nice. And I grew up in the
Fairmont.
Bay Area.
It was the Fairmont.
Was it fair? And it was up on top of this hill, and it was amazing. And we had this great couple-day event, and Michael Gerber was there, just blowing the room. It was so incredible. I ended up spending a few days with Michael Gerber, going through the E-Myth or the dreaming room process, and just really getting clear on your business, and that really helped scale our business. But at the time, it was a room of probably, I don't know, 70 people that I just looked up to and just admired so much. They were crushing it, just absolutely crushing it. And I was just so excited to be there, and I think the first night we had a mixer or whatever, and you, Matt Wagner, Jeff Willems, you guys and Mike Reese come stumbling into the elevator, and I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, I haven't seen you like in a year or something like that. We start talking, and then we went to masterminding, all kinds of stuff like that, and all of you guys just really, I mean, that group right there has totally impacted me. I know Jeff's come over, and Jeff and Marcy down in Tucson have been crushing it. So anyways, here's the story, right? So we go through this like couple days with Coach Ken. It's amazing. And I think it ended on a Sunday. I can't remember, whatever it was. It ended, 5:00 if you go to conferences. And so I'm just beat. I mean, I'm like, you get done with a conference and you're just like, oh my gosh. So I'm sitting I go in the lobby, and I had like a couple hours before I had to get to the airport. And I'm like, oh, all right, here's the deal. I got to stay focused. I'm going to just do my work. I'm going to take all my notes and compact it into, 8 or 10 different chunks that I'm going to knock out really quick and go through. And so I sit down, and I pull up my stuff, and I start working through it. And I'm sitting here like this, and all of a sudden, about 5 minutes later, 2 guys come and they sit down in these chairs right here. And they were foreign, right? And I'm like, and they had different garb on and all kinds of different stuff with it. And they looked like the Dalai Lama, but I couldn't understand. They were talking, but I couldn't really understand what they were saying. And I was sitting there working. Have you ever had I feel like I'm pretty spiritual sometimes, but maybe I'm just dumb. I don't know. But I felt like this voice was saying, you should talk to him. You should talk to him. And I was like, that's the dumbest thing. I don't even know if they speak English. This is the dumbest thing. How could I talk to him? And I'm like, I'm busy. I don't have time for this. And they were talking, just 2 guys are sitting there talking. And I kept feeling like I should just start talking to him. And at one time I kind of looked up and made eye contact, and then I just shut it down and I just kept working. And then eventually, after like 10 minutes or whatever, I go, you know what? I'm going to go get some sushi because I'm in San Francisco and I'm hungry and I want some sushi before I go to the airport. So I pack up my stuff and I walk down the street. No big deal. Go get on my flight, do some more work, come back. And then a day or 2 later, Coach Ken sends out this email. Oh my gosh, I want to share this experience with everybody. Another guy that was at the conference sat down. He sat down right next to me right as I was leaving, and he sat down and he ended up started talking to him, and then they hit up a friendship. I guess it was someone's wedding or something, right? So
there was a prince the prince was in town. It was
right.
like
So Tony Robbins is across the street in a hotel or upstairs, and the Dalai Lama, and they bring the guy up. They hang out with them and take pictures, and then Coach Ken sends out this picture, and I don't have it. Ken, if you're watching, you got to send me this picture because it just drives me crazy. But it's so embarrassing. It's embarrassing to go, I had this chance, and I felt it. I felt like I should do it, and I just wussed out, and I didn't do it. And I'm like, I love Tony Robbins and the Dalai. I mean, that was incredible, and I just blew it. I blew it, right? I didn't take that chance. In our world, we kind of come up against chances all the time where do you take it or do you not take it? But that was one of my massive clusters, I guess, right?
Right. That's awesome, man.
Not as much real estate related, but it was a big conference, right?
Right. I remember that. We didn't know what was going on. I mean, they were real secretive about it. They had guards everywhere and stuff, but I had no idea what was going on.
No.
Man, that's a good one.
but the kind of the idea is that, it's been, 13 years or so that every year, multiple times a year, we're getting together, fly across the country, and then trying to mastermind, trying to go, how can we monetize building these teams? And instead of going over and recreating the wheel, how do we take the best agents in these different markets and these different things and say, hey, you know what, you're crushing it here, you're crushing it here. How do we take advantage of those different things that we've never been able to? And I remember it was about 10 years ago, we were sitting down with just some monster producers, and it was probably 10 or 15 of us in a room, and talking about, we're like, you know what? We all just need to leave the brands that we're at. I probably was either, I think I'd left Remax and was it just gone over to Keller Williams, or actually probably at that point I'd just gone out and started my own brokerage. And we're like, okay, here's the deal. If everybody commits to it, we can all just leave our brands and let's all create this super mega company. And we're like, okay, well, what do we call it? We could never get past that, right? We're like, there's too many egos. There's too much. It won't work. It would have 25
names in it because of ego.
Exactly. But we're like, but we need to. How do we take advantage of that? So that's always been kind of the one of the things is how do you take advantage of this to have like economies of scale and then to really get everybody on the same page instead of even having people competing against each other in the same market and stuff. And so I know this has just been a trial for both of us. I've failed, 100 times over, trying, expansion, going big, going small, and giving up and, forget it, I'm not going to do it, and this. And And then to kind of get to this point over the last year or so, when I first saw it, of course, I'm like, you know what, this is the same old stuff. It's not going to work. There is no perfect system. I mean, I still don't believe there's a perfect system, but this is pretty dang close, right? This is
Right.
pretty dang close. And so, of
It
course,
really
it's a
is.
no initially, and everybody probably is a no. But I guess we can kind of talk through a little bit. I'll share just a little bit about how I got introduced to it. And then I want to hear you kind of go through a little bit more about your process at, with Al and stuff like that. But it was probably about 14, 15 months ago or so. I was looking. I wanted to ramp my company back up again. I had my own brokerage, and it was going really well. Still selling a couple hundred homes. I think probably close to about 300 homes. And I was making a decision. Do I, same thing. Do you ramp down and go, okay, do we get a better ROI and have less headaches with less agents? More inside sales, more just listing specialists, things like that? Or do you go ramp up big, go big with marketing and stuff like that? So I was in the process of, I just barely collapsed it down again, and I was getting ready to build it back up, and had.
What problem were you trying to solve, Curtis? What were you trying to solve with? Because I hopefully everybody caught that. Let me
Yeah.
have ISAs make the calls. No, let
Yeah.
me forget it. Give it to the agents. Okay, no, let's just keep the 3 good agents and get rid of all the shitty ones. And they're like all
Totally.
these different
Yeah.
conversations of like what's the best way for the model to work. But what were you really trying to solve? You were probably out of the business at this point, or trying to stay out of the business and not get thrown back into it, or what were we at that you were trying to solve?
I mean, I've been out of production for 10 years, 12 years or so, right? And succeeding through people, and I still like that. I still involved, quite a bit. But as far as going on the appointments and things like that, we try and leverage that as best we can.
Your
But
goal is not to go back to get it going on appointments.
I love it, right? But I just made a decision to be a non-competing team leader, right? That was just one of the
Right.
decisions. I've worked in other sales, and I think it's really tough on an environment when you've got the idea that the team leader is going to come in and take what they've got and drop the pieces for everybody else. That's just my opinion.
Sure.
And so the thought process was, you know what? At the end of the day, I just got to feed my family. I just need to make money, and I just, I'm just not into the drama part. I just don't need a lot of drama. And you take somebody that hasn't done anything and you help build them up to sell, 10, 20, 30, 40, even 50 homes a year. And then all of a sudden they go, hey, I don't need you anymore. I did this all on my own. And then they go off and they're your competition. And then you go back and you do this thing again. And personally, it's hard. It hurts because you go all in, and people, and your agents are like your family until they're not your family and they turn on you, right? And then it just breaks your heart. And you go, and as much as you try and tell people, I'm here, I'm giving you everything, I'm trying to help out, it doesn't always feel like that. People come from job mentality of, they look at there's a boss and trying to get on the same side of the table. And I think that's where the eXp being a shareholder in it, I think that really where it kind of comes around. So, but I had gone through and I decided, the future is going to be, it's going to be hard to be that middle game. You've got to be a big player with big marketing and be able to really expose your clients' homes to a lot of people, or you're going to be kind of almost irrelevant. And so that's where I decided I really had to go big again. I started to go big. Chuck Fazio, my partner here, we started having conversations. He was building the most incredible office of the future with Revelation Real Estate. He had about 500 agents at the time. And I just thought he was crazy for building this building, and that's where I'm at. You can see there's a bar out back. You got 2 bars and cafes and water. There's a band out back, a couple times a week. It's like 200-seat auditorium. It's amazing. But it's a unicorn. It's not duplicatable, right?
Right.
So we started talking, and he goes, hey, come on over. I need a big team, and let's build this thing, and maybe over the next 3-4 years, let's build it up to 800 people, and then I'm done. I'm going to cap it out. And we started going over, and it just made a lot of sense. I just love the guy. Just love him and Angela. They're just incredible. And that was the plan, right, to come over and to be able to do that. And not that I did it, but they're pretty much at 800 in a little over a year in going through, because they're just so incredible, and the staff's incredible, the company's incredible. So Chuck's kind of capping out, and I went to Chuck and said, hey, we got to find a different solution. And what are some growth opportunities? I'm a builder, he's a builder, and we started having some dialogue with that. And then eXp was one of the things that we really explored. And part of it was, I'd been introduced 14, 15 months ago by Brent Gove, right when I had committed to go over here with Chuck. and I just barely committed, and like a week or two later, Brent calls me up. He's like, dude, you've got to see this. Will you please, if you're my friend, will you please at least watch this webinar? And I said, yeah, but I'll tell you, I'm 100% no, but I'll do it because I love you. I think you're just an incredible person. I'll watch it, but I'm a no, but I'll give you my feedback, and I'm going to blow the crap out of this thing. I'm going to tell you every hole that's, and I watched it,
Yes.
but I
Not
watched
gun loaded.
I watched it from a place of, there's a zero. I mean, I'd never even looked at it, really. I didn't look at it with fresh eyes. And I said, Brent, you're going to kill it. And he did. I was like, this is perfect for you. This is amazing. And I was at the I mean, I'm glad I didn't do it at that time. I think maybe I had 1,500 agents and a couple, the stock was a couple dollars, and now I don't know, what is it, 10, 12 bucks or stuff like that. And I don't know how many agents, 6,000, 7,000 agents. But to me, the relationships with, to get in business with Chuck, and then also how things are working out with you and this putting this dream team together, to me, that's more important in how we're going about doing it. And that's what I'm just so out of control excited about what we're building and how this can really absolutely take over the industry. And that's really what really sparked me. But part of it was, a couple months ago, when all of a sudden I get this little, I don't know what bird chirped in my ear and all of a sudden told me, dude, Kinder's on a flight to Florida to go blow holes in eXp. And then there's other, like, Kinder's checking out eXp. And I start going, what? And I start checking with people. No way. Is he really, like, what is going on? And then I'm thinking,
there was a
cool.
leak.
I said, you know what? What's pretty cool about this is because if I know one thing about Jay, he's going to get somebody really drunk, and they're going to tell the truth. They're going to open up, and he's going to know where, what's going on. And he'll be out of there in about 2 days, and he's going to go, dude, this is a pile. And I said, we'll be good. And then I don't have to worry about that anymore. But what happened?
What happened was, honestly, it was, you're exactly right. I was skeptical. And I think that there's less skepticism out there today than there was when I went. And, it wasn't but 75 days ago. But there since I joined, it was a few months or a month before that, I guess.
Hey, I've only been in a day. What do I know? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, we're very seasoned here. We've been here forever. Let us tell you how. I can tell you this: it's way better than what I was doing before. I know that.
Yeah.
And it's been great, but yeah, I just didn't know. And for me, I just wanted to know the people behind the company. And,
right.
And what their vision was. And I'll tell you the moment I sat, first of all, we walked in. First of all, Brent Gove took care of everything. He is a class act. I am privileged to know that man. He is amazing.
Yes.
And he took care of everything and made it a great experience. He scheduled lunch, dinner, breakfast, with everyone on the executive team.
Yeah.
Because that was important for us to get to understand the vision and where they were taking this and
yeah.
How we could become a part of it and if possibly be supportive and be a part of it. We wanted to know everything we needed to know. And so you
got to just pull the curtains back and strip in and I could imagine you were brutal, asking questions and trying to rip it apart.
I have nothing but questions about everything. and there was a moment I was sitting actually in the audience and Glenn Sanford was on stage and he was talking about core values, and it was like it just felt like an EGS. It felt like exactly what everything in my life I've been trying to do myself.
Exponential Growth Summit, which
right.
So if anyone doesn't know what that is.
So the events that we did, it just felt a lot like that. But I saw Glenn, talk about, and there's one of the core values of the company that I think is one of the most important core values of all, and it's sustainability. And, when you think about your business and sustainability and, when you've humped it as long as we have, and Braden actually told me I should not be using that word. And I say humping it all the time. And he's like, well, what does that mean exactly? I was like, well, I don't really think about it. I just use the word. So
you're from Oklahoma. You can use whatever word you want.
Because we say a lot of things we shouldn't say. But
you use like MF as like a comma, but right. You smile, like you're just like, oh, and you just like start smiling, and I'm like, dude, other people can't do that. Like, because if you don't wear boots or something like that, you don't get to just say that.
Yeah, you just have to play dumb and be ignorant. You can just do and say whatever you want. It's worked for as long as I've been alive. But it was that was a big that was meaningful to me. Because I understood, Glenn's vision and what he was trying to solve was exactly what I had been trying to solve, and he built this great company And he has this beautiful business model and a vision that I never would have seen. I never would have put it all together with the cloud, the scaling this thing nationwide, a
We've
brokerage and
tried.
everything.
We've tried to expand. We tried to
Heck yeah, we
expand
did.
in different states and do everything. Like, and we had this, like, we're like, it can't be done. You can't do it.
It is. I'm not going to say it can't be done, but it ain't going to get done without a large budget
Yeah.
to do it. And even if you look at expansion, I mean, they say right up front, page 1 of the expansion manual, you just get ready to spend 250,000. That's if you do everything right and you don't rob your
In the
current.
KW model.
Right, in the KW model. You're
But
going to spend 200.
even in that, and like I said, I love KW. I was a teeny tiny part owner in one market center for a year or two, and I made a couple $100 in passive income, over that year and a half, 2 years, right? Was revenue share, right? Wasn't great. But
It's
it
hard
was,
not to laugh
but
at
it's
that.
still, I love that. I still love that company though. But
It is a great
but
company.
but
It is
but
a
here
great
but
company.
here's the deal, right? You
It's
like
iconic.
and I looked at the expansion models even before I came in here like a year and a half, 2 years ago. Went deep in that and looked at the different options and going, okay. I even had someone said, hey, here's the deal. I own these different regions. We can go in. You can go into these like 10 different offices. You've got great name recognition. You could go in and pop these little expansion teams up. And I'm like, okay, first of all, I don't know if I want to travel that much. But then you start looking at it, and the numbers don't really come out. But the idea is, the thing that threw me off was I'm like, okay, so, would they be really excited about it? I said, well, yeah, maybe not. They might not be all that excited. I'm like, well, why wouldn't they be excited about it? Well, some people are territorial, and then you got the cap situation. You got to be paying a cap at all the different places. And all of a sudden, everything just started going crazy. I know I've got some great friends and different ones that have killed it with the expansion or where they've done really well with it. But the same problem keeps coming back in saying that they're not welcome at the different market centers, right? And it doesn't get everybody on the same side of the table. And
And it goes back to sustainable. Is that model sustainable? And our
because
experience
they're
has been
franchisees. They're franchisees at each different place, right? Which that makes a lot of sense. And that's it's not agent owned, I guess, right there.
right. And Curtis, we talked about, and so that was my experience. And obviously, I got to meet the leadership team. I was extremely impressed. If you've ever tried to onboard, one person to your company or to your team, the challenge of like correctly onboarding one person.
Oh my
At that
gosh.
time, I think in that week they had onboarded 50, not agents to the company. That they're doing 250 agents a week right now. So think about that for your
Wow.
systems, how well the systems have to be dialed in. But there was about 50 employees that were getting added to this, the Facebook Workplace, and Glenn had added me to it so I could see it. What I
Yeah.
saw behind the scenes was a corporate operation that is a publicly traded company that knows exactly what the heck they're doing. And
Cool.
that's just not something that you can go out and recreate. You can't pretend and know what you're doing in this game. And their leadership team, their executive team is A++, and I believe in them. So that's
Awesome.
that made it easy for me to be open minded.
Yeah.
And that was the reason we all jumped on board. So, and it was a good time. I mean, they have fun, man. Fun's one of their core values, and I'm telling you,
Yeah.
man, if you're having fun, life is better when you're having fun and making money. I don't care if you're making money if you're not having fun. If you're having fun and making money, that's what life's about. And I think
And we're having a good time.
Right, and that's what Let's talk about that. We the dream team. What does that mean? How are we going to be able to work together? This model and the alignment. We talked a little earlier about how many agents do you think you've hired in your lifetime? Right, like I know that I've walked into the grocery store, and I know that somebody who used to work for me as an agent, and they don't anymore. And I don't even know if they're in real estate or what. But how many agents do you think you've hired in your lifetime? Would you say they don't work for you anymore?
So this is Jay and I's relationship, right? Before this call, he asked me that, and I said, please don't ask me that. Just don't ask me that. It's too painful. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to think. I got in. I got my license at the end of '98. I started going in '99. First year I sold 10 houses. Next year I like the first 8 or 9 months I sold 42 houses, and I hired a buyer agent. So I started a team. I don't know what that's 17 years ago. So I've had a team ever since. I got a buyer agent before I even got an admin, because I didn't know what to do. No, I didn't. There really weren't that big of teams at that point. They started to kind of get going. Goodness gracious, man. And I would, if I probably had to guess, right? You go through the growth, and you've got that 90% turnover rate. I would say hundreds, right? I mean,
Right.
400, 500, maybe. I mean,
Right.
which is just a crazy number. And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, no one ever quits on my team." Like, okay, you know what? Yeah, that's not true. Then you got like
Yeah.
two people because
Yeah.
if you
Quit
build a
lying to
team,
yourself.
if you keep a small team, yeah, you don't have turnover when you got a small team.
Ah, yeah.
But you
You've
go
been doing it.
big, you go big. It's just
Yeah. So
part of the
first of
deal.
all, just to be fair, Curtis, I would like to say that you are world class at recruiting if you've recruited that many agents in your career. So I mean to me that's impressive because most of us don't have. I mean, we haven't ever. We probably haven't been in the business as long as you. I actually have,
I know
but
you have been.
I know, right? That's so sad. But that the thing. I guess my point is this: recruiting agents is hard. Recruiting and retention when you have a team is the biggest problem that you have that you're trying to always solve.
Totally.
And I can tell you this: in the last 75 days since I've been at the company, we've recruited 154 agents, and I can tell you this: I didn't
Wow.
have to buy them lunch or coffee. I can tell you
Yeah.
this: they're happy as can be with the promise that was made and the promise that's going to be kept.
Yeah.
And I'm not having to deliver on all of that promise. I'm
Hmm.
only delivering on adding value to their lives and helping them grow
Yeah.
and get the best out of every opportunity they have. And when you understand what this model allows you to do,
Right.
it's just incredible. And the revenue share is a great opportunity. It was a genius part of the business model. Why
Right.
wouldn't you give money back to the agents that are the ones doing the deals? This is revenue that already flows into the company that
Right.
generally in every other model funds the region and every other person that has to manage the scalability of franchising and everything else. And
Yeah.
instead of giving that money to the people that are managing that process, they're giving the money back to the agents that are happy and telling other agents about their success and how happy they are to be at eXp. It's
Yeah.
not it's not rocket science. They are basically giving the money back to the agents that are doing the deals in the company.
Yeah.
Just because you're telling people about the opportunity to come work there, and
Sure.
that's an organic growth method that is it allows exponential growth, okay,
Right.
because they don't have to go hire a bunch of people. You don't have to have 25 people to open an office. All of that goes away, and that's why we're seeing the kind of growth that we're seeing. But what
Yeah.
does that create for all of us? At 7,500 agents with million plus agents in the industry, it creates the biggest opportunity in the history of real estate for us to build
It's a
whatever.
once in a lifetime chance right here, in my
Right.
opinion, with this, with this dream team and talking about what we were trying to solve. Everything comes down to, right, you know, attracting talent and retention with it. And I would just say, I don't claim to be perfect at any of this, right? Running a team or anything. I feel like I do a pretty good job with it, but it's not, agents don't just leave when they're failing. That's not the case, right? There's this
Right.
sweet spot where if you don't set expectations, I think I've gotten better at that over the years, right? And trying to prepare them. But you know what? People have expectations when they come in. You can't control that. Life happens. There's a 90% turnover rate in this industry to begin with. But as you go through, you lose agents that came in at zero and they're doing 20, 30, 40, 50 deals. All of a sudden, you've trained them, and whether you really had a big impact or you didn't, they don't think necessarily you did. They think they did it all on their own,
Right.
and so you can lose agents just by being successful. So I know a lot of people, like, it's not my philosophy. I want people to just be as successful as possible, and if they crush it and they decide that's where they don't want to, they want to go on their own or whatever, that's just part of the deal. But I know a lot of people that artificially try and keep people on their team down so that they just stay longer, right? That they're like, hey, because if they start getting too successful, they're just going to leave, because
Right.
part of the retention thing. So part of where Chuck and I were talking, and we went through and looked at the model here. I mean, to do what they've done, and to, he's just such an incredible business mind and what he's built here. But it's such a unicorn. We've talked about, and he's here in the Southeast Valley in the Phoenix area, like 800 agents, one of the top 10 single offices in the entire country, almost about 1.5 billion, I think, in sales in a year, which is just crazy. They got a brand new book that's coming out,
I got a
and
copy of it.
oh
I
my
started
gosh,
reading it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's
it's incredible.
amazing, right?
He is.
Great.
They're both Chuck and Angela, top class people,
Sure.
business minds.
Sure.
Very impressive. I'm very
Yeah.
glad to have the opportunity to work with them.
Yeah. so Revelation, it was like, okay, does this make any sense to try to expand this, to go to a different market or do anything? We really looked at it, and they were like, no, we really don't want to do it. And I'm like, I could do it. I'm like, I know I couldn't do it. And people, when they were launching this building, I mean, this building was, front page news all over and different things like that. A lot of people were saying, okay, well, give me the specs on the building. So they've got 2 bars, and they've got this patio, and they've got these classrooms, and they've got all these different state-of-the-art, call booths and all kinds of different stuff with it. Like the building was actually the thing, and the building, is just part of the family, right? Within that,
Right.
but it's not duplicatable. But it's also the Phoenix metro area is so monstrous, it really only serves a little area. And so Chuck and I were talking. He's got a big reach outside. And, he wants to, obviously he wants all glory to go to God. And I agree with that and say, if God gave you these gifts, how do you get this to more people?
Mm-hmm.
And then just this 800 people in this one segment that he's decided they're capping out, and they're just not going to hire, or they're going to just replace the bottom agents, right? And so as a team, I'm like, well, that kind of scares me a little bit. I don't want to be stuck not being able to get people to go there either. And we looked at this and we said, okay, well, what are our options if we went and created something different at the same time you were kind of going through these different things? And then we just decided, you know what, hey, maybe I'll go start I'll take my team and I'll start working on building our Arizona section and Chuck, and we're going to expand out. And even just, like I said, we just kind of did a light launch this last week, not even a week. And we've already got, different forks and, all over several places, Southern California, Atlanta, Utah, different places up in the Northwest, and, 6 or 8 other ones that are kind of starting to come together. And that's just in the last few days with it. And that doesn't count, 20, 25 people that are coming over from here that we're going to, that we're kind of going with. It's so exciting. But the thing you talked about, what the dream team is, right? So, a little over a year ago when Brent came to me, it was about the company, and it was about the chance to work with Brent, who I just love dearly. He's I mean, I just want to just do whatever he says, because he's just so incredible, right? You just, like a puppy dog, you just want to follow him, right?
Yep.
And and at the time timing wasn't right? Maybe you're watching this and you've already decided it's 100% no. I get it, right? I mean, I turned it down for over a year, but now the time's right in that going through, and it's not just Brent, right? You got Cliff Freeman, who's a great coach of yours, right? You've got Al Stasek, right?
Right.
You got Mike Reese, and you got Chuck, partnering with me and going through, trying to say, if you're going to look at this and you're a big player and you want to take this big, do you think it would help to have, people that have done billions and billions and billions, and even upline from that, you've got with Gene Frederick and Rob Flick, and people that have been the biggest recruiters out there, and having these recruiting systems and all the training that you've ever put together, all the training I've ever put together, and Brent Gove, he created this mega open house stuff before anyone even heard of this stuff.
Yep. He's
And
OG.
oh my gosh, and then would it be helpful to know how this business owner took it from running, Chuck and Angela, or Chuck ran this big team, one of the biggest teams, and then flipped it over to say, let me build this 800-pound or 800-person just behemoth. And here's the deal, and here's where I can't just speak for Chuck, but also for what this whole dream team thing is this isn't just MLM. I'm not totally into the MLM type thing. The revenue sharing is insane. It's just insane with it. But here's the deal, is that we all lead with selling real estate. We all sell a crap load of real estate. That's what we do. We know how to do it. And so when we're doing this, it isn't about trying to put bodies and doing things. This is about how do we go change real estate and say, instead of people struggling doing 2 and 3 deals, let's change people's businesses. And so if someone's watching this and you're like, I want to have a big life, we can come in and you can have these tools. You can have, and you can talk about, you say you couldn't hire us. We're unhireable, right? But you can get all of us for $50 a month. What? Come on now.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, man. I laugh every time I say it. Like if you don't get it, then let's just walk through this again. So basically, what we're telling you is when you join eXp, and you get to partner with Curtis Johnson, and he has a financial incentive for you to do as well as you possibly can.
Right.
and he's going to give you everything he can to help you be successful. Everything he's ever created, we're going to be willing to share. Same
Right.
thing with me and Mike and Al Stasek. Everything we created in AEA, millions of dollars of stuff that we sell every year.
Yeah.
When you join eXp, you've partnered with us. We have every incentive to give you everything we can to help you be successful in real estate. And when you keep adding all of these superstars, mega agents
You
to the
put
team,
Brent Gove's been on the phone with me and everybody else, and you've been tireless. I mean, tens
I
and
know you don't
maybe
sleep.
maybe
I know
hundreds
this.
of hours.
I did not know this, that you don't sleep. Now, that is a common thing that happens, but when you watch the webinar, I tell everybody this. Listen, you're going to be up pacing. You're going to be pacing the carpet. Your spouse is going to be like, what the hell are you doing? Go to sleep, and you won't be able to sleep. And then that's going to go on for a few days. You're going to get on the phone and talk, and you're going to ask questions, and that's the process people go through. And if you haven't seen the webinar, I think I put the link in the profile here.
So the link's in here. So go watch the webinar, right? That starts the process of kind of.
If you haven't, there's a handful of us.
Then reach out to me, right?
Right. There's a handful of busy people that are just busy as we are too, and I get it. And you don't want to spend an hour to watch any kind of webinar.
100%.
Take the time to understand. And you made a really great point, Curtis, as we were talking earlier. You had a couple of agents that reached out to you that were that used to work for you. And they had already jumped on board to eXp, which is evidence that we have a ton of money that we lose out the top of our businesses every year as agents leave and go somewhere else. If we had all those agents back, we probably would all be mega rich.
Okay, so you asked me, right? What would be your revenue share type stuff if all the agents you've ever hired in Oklahoma and Dallas, if you'd never lost one?
I don't even know. It would be silly. It would be silly.
Yeah.
But that's the whole goal is to not lose that revenue and to capture that. And why are they going to stay?
Tell me.
And this is what's important that people understand. The reason that agents are going to stay is when you mentioned something about your team and this is what I believe. I believe there's just a misalignment in the team model to your vision as the business owner and the agent's compensation. The agent's compensation is misaligned to your goals as the business owner.
Take that deeper. What do you mean by that?
Well, I don't think the agent really cares if you make any money in your team. They do. Think about it. Are they more worried about getting that next deal, or are they more worried about your business and its success and your ability to continue to innovate? They don't see it that way because compensation is just misaligned. They're aligned to doing the deal and hopefully getting as much commission as they can for themselves, as opposed to what's better for the overall vision of the company. And when you have a publicly traded company that everyone owns stock in and has skin in the game, you tend to look for what's best for the company, and that it creates this alignment. And that's what has been missing in our team models. We want our business to be profitable. Our agents want to just make more money, and there's no alignment in the model. So when you add that and you add opportunity, which is this is a magical word, guys. If you want to understand the psychology of real estate agents and human beings, when you present opportunity, everyone who is talented turns their head and says, what you talking about? You got some opportunity over there? I want a piece of that. That's how we're all wired. So when people see there's opportunity and it's real, and people show me their $100,000 a month that they're getting from people they've told about eXp, I'm gonna pay attention to that. Okay, they get up out of bed today and they had $100,000 drop into their account, and all they did was tell people about an opportunity. I'm gonna pay attention to that. You got me. I'm listening. Okay.
In your write up in that blog, I think I put in a post on my site. So maybe reach out to me or go to my Facebook page. And I put on there, you wrote a blog, and you said you wrote it coming back from the eXp thing. But a couple of things you said in there was you need to look at the webinar, even if it's out of just morbid curiosity. I thought that was awesome. And then you're like, okay, and here's the deal, right? Even at a minimum, you need to watch the webinar because you need to know. If nothing else, even if you're 100% against it, which is whatever, right? Your situation is totally different. There's so many agents that are gonna want it. That's what we're not looking to try to convince somebody of something. If this rings a bell, awesome. But if you're running a team, you're a big player or you're an influencer. Here's the deal. Your team is either they're starting to hear this, or they're getting approached by different people. Why? Because this is in my opinion, this is the chance of a lifetime. This is a thing that we've been trying to put ourselves in a position to we've been trying to build this model for 14 years, and I didn't think it existed, right? To really be able to go through, to be able to expand across state lines, get this mega team of, and we're still bringing people together. There's even more stuff that's coming together where they've got a vested interest in building this, and to get on a phone and help you build your business, right? Not just say, oh, here's a book, here's this, whatever, is to actually do that, to be, hey, you know what, we'll fly out and help do an event with you, or we'll get on the phone and help strategize with your team. Or do you think it would be helpful to have a business owner that does a $1.5 billion in business and going through, would that be helpful to have a strategy session and be able to do that? Hell yeah, it would be, right? Are you kidding me?
Right.
But here's the deal. Your team either knows about it or they're starting to hear about it. Like I said, we did a quiet kind of launch. Like 8,000 people still watch the video, but like
Right.
we just kind of try to put it out there, like, okay, here, just want to let you know, in a few days we're going to do something, because I had to tell my team, right? And we had to kind of take the lid off it a little bit and have people understand what was going on a little bit. But they, like, several people had already heard about it. A couple of them had already been approached. I had an agent that had left, actually a few different ones. Actually, one of the first. Well, I don't want to blow the cover, but there's different people that work for me, and different, like, my phone's been blowing up this last week,
That's
right? All these
crazy.
people, and a couple of them, one of them had gone over to eXp like 2 days before we announced. Another one like a week before that. A couple people on my team said they were approached over the last few months and they loved the idea, but at least is what they told me. They said, but we love you, we want to stay here. But I got to tell you, man, I don't know how long, and they're pretty excited about it. They're like,
Right.
I get this team and I get to go do this. Are you kidding me? So
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. You don't want your agents. You don't want me to send this webinar to your agents. I guarantee you that. Because let me tell you how this is going to work. And this is not a threat, by the way. I'm not saying. I just want you to understand what you're up against. And if you don't understand your competition, you know it. If you're a baller, if you're a mover shaker like we are, and you're out there doing it every day, you know that you have to understand your competition so that you can beat your competition.
You got to understand the lay of the land.
You got to understand it. And at the end of the day, whenever somebody watches a webinar and we say, listen, I'm going to personally coach you. You're going to get access to me. You're going to get access to Michael Reese. You're going to get access to Al Stacey. You're going to get access to Curtis Johnson. You're going to have access to the top minds in real estate and the people who've been the most successful in the history of real estate. And we're going to give you everything that you need to be successful. On top of that, here's what you're also going to get provided by eXp. You're going to get all the technology, the Sky Slope. You're going to get a Commissions Inc. site. The leads that your agent, your team leader's giving you now. You're going to get your own personal Commissions Inc. And by the way, we'll just give you a conversion site too. Just so
you're going to get your own sites. You're not dependent on the team leader as much anymore, right? You're like,
right.
Well, that kind of unhandcuffs them a little bit.
So, and by the way, you know what we're going to also do to help you is we're going to show you how to use funnels and marketing to help you generate your own leads so that you can be successful. We're going to give you all that. And here's the thing. Here's what it's going to cost you.
Well, here, Jay, before you, one of the things that really kicks on that too, that was a big deal to me, is that in our market's huge here, right? Even in Dallas, it's big as well. Is that we got access to Regis? That's like 20 offices here for to be able to go meet at different places. Like when I left, I didn't want to leave KW like 14 years ago, but we started doing radio advertisement, or 13 or whatever it was. Started doing radio advertisement, and if we had to go meet at an office across the way, we're like, okay, cool, can we come use it? And we're like, yeah, that's cool the first time, and the second time, it's like, well, let me tell you about a cap. Like, we're like, to use the office? Like, we're like, wait a second. We're like, I can't pay a cap at like 4 different, market centers. It doesn't make any sense to do that. And then I was like, we're just not ready. And I know they've tried to expand and do some things like that, but that's a big deal. If you want to go big, you're going to get people from all over, and you're going to have to meet with them in different places. Having Regis to be able to just pop in and use that, and it's included, that's nuts.
Right. Let me tell you something. You can be sitting at home in your underwear and jump into the cloud and have your team meetings. They got meeting rooms you can use for that. You ain't got to go anywhere. And now this was every once in a while somebody's like, okay, I got a good one. What about people that have kids at home? And I'm like, I know exactly what you mean, because I can't get anything done for my house. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. My kids, they ain't letting me do no work from home. So I'm like, I get it. That's there's the Regis option. That's an opportunity, but So there's a solution for everything, and it actually creates even more opportunity, because if you have office space, we're seeing a lot of the big companies, couple of big Remax guys that are not renewing their, and this year was the worst year for franchises in the history of real estate.
Really?
More people not renewing, more people less new franchises, less acquisitions. There's no
Wow.
value in the model, and this is just going to continue to destroy it. Because there's just no value in it for the royalty fees you get. There's just not, the value is just not there. And for a lot of companies, that's the case. And, what's a better model? Well, you can take that same real estate now and you can start to, utilize, we know 25% of people at eXp would be willing to pay for office space. You can revamp the office space to a membership model.
Sure.
No different than looking at WeWork. So this opportunity actually creates opportunity. So when you start thinking about, oh, well, that might be an issue, I can see that. Sure. And then you see, oh my, that just creates more opportunity for someone to solve another problem. And it's really fascinating. But when going back to that pitch, I know it probably hurts a little bit. You'd probably be a little bit mad if you saw one of your agents watching a webinar where you heard we were all going to coach them and help them be successful. But that's the same webinar you're going to get to use to recruit or to attract agents to eXp. And that really is what it is. This isn't a sales pitch, guys. This is pure attraction. If you're not it's not like a magnet, and you're just okay, I get it, guys. That's a really good idea. I like it. Let's do that. Can we do this?
Right. So for what, $50 a month, right? Doing that, they get to get in, play the game, get to say, hey, I'm going to get Curtis, I'm going to get Chuck, I'm going to get Jay, Mike, Al, Brent, all these people that are really vested in there, all the way up, right? Even if you're saying, well, that's only goes 7 levels, which only 7 levels, give me a break, right? But even if they don't, even if it's off the thing, you want the people ahead of you to be making money. You want them because it's got to be sticky. One of the problems is agents, they go, well, who cares if I move from one company that's $35 a month to another one that's $32 a month? What does it really matter, right? But here's the deal: is I was at KW. I remember when they pass out, or the date the checks would hit, or hope they'd hit, because if they hadn't bought a copy or something like that, everybody was like, oh my gosh, what'd you get? And it was like, oh, $24. What'd you get? Oh, $87. What'd you get? Like 112, right? But I'm telling you, if it got over like $150, dude, they would have backed over their grandma for that check. Like they were not going to leave KW. Dude, they were not going to leave. It just didn't matter what was going to happen. They back up. They weren't going to leave until their 3 years were up. As soon as they vested, they're like, I'm out, right? But they're like, I'm not walking away from that money. But one of the things that really was important to me in talking to Brent Gove and going through and saying, just trying to rip this apart from every angle. And I said, here's the deal. We've got to solve. Agents have to be happier. They've got to have more production. We've got to give them more technology so they can be more mobile and do all these different things. But here's the deal. It is such a roller coaster, even for agents that work hard and that are amazing people. When people whiff and they have a month where they actually don't get a closing or different things like that, that changes their world. Yeah. And he was talking about some different people on his team that have passive income of having $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 going through, and you're talking about different people on a team to go into a month and have several $1,000s. That's like a closing already in the bank, right? And that's what my hope is for my team is I want everybody to have $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in passive income going in, and so they're not tempted to make dumb decisions and take over price listings and do things like that, but they can come from a place of a real consultant and advisor as opposed to someone that's just commission breath, right? And they're grinding. It's a big deal.
I mean, and think about it. Think about it. Do your, this is just an honest question. You a lot of people that I talk to, you genuinely care about your agents.
I love them.
You want what's best for them.
Yeah.
And look at your model. What do we all struggle with as real estate agents? Saving money for taxes. Okay, let's be real. Anybody pay on time? I don't think so. We all pay late. I don't know that when I was in real estate selling it, if I ever paid on time ever. I always extended till October, and I know you do too. And so do you.
I don't know. My wife's an accountant. She does all that stuff. But I will tell you, probably. No. She's. I married up. I tell you that. But I will tell you, they get our money a day early or whatever it is. But it's a problem.
Most agents, when they're struggling to get by, that's a big deal. It's an issue.
I get things from agents. They're like, hey, can you give me back, like my 2012, 1099, like all these different things. Like, dude, if you're not filed in like 3, 4, 5, like, it's
Right.
pretty bad. It's pretty
It
common.
hasn't, and I had that experience with one of my agents. I didn't realize. It was a good friend of mine, and I never had asked him financially how well he was doing. He had bought a
Yeah.
rental, so I assumed things were going okay. And he had about $55,000 in back taxes. I'm like, what? I
Wow.
said, we got to get a plan together to solve that problem. And how
Totally.
many deals you got to sell? What are we going to do to get there?
Sure.
I even helped him flip a house and help finance it because I care about my people and I want them to be
Totally.
financially successful. Now, none of us have a retirement plan in real estate for the most part. Maybe some odd, there's a few.
Agents don't have. Everyone acts like they do. Everyone acts like I thought I'd be retired in 5 years. I thought I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna sell a bunch of real estate and I'll be retired in 5 years. We're still like, how many people that have been in the business for 5 years or longer thought they'd still be slinging lock boxes all this time?
Right.
Everyone loves it, but it gets old. Doesn't mean that this is the most incredible job ever. But it's good to have some leverage and be able to do some different things like it. But you're exactly right. What percent of agents do you think, if they don't have a second income from another spouse or something, have a retirement? Almost none. Almost none.
And I look at this, the opportunity in stock, the fact that you can buy 5% of your commission can go towards the stock at a 20% discount is a no-brainer.
That's amazing. One of my agents who we talked about, he goes, I go, dude, okay, so we rolled that out, and he goes, hey, I just want to let you know I've already been buying that stock. That thing's been going crazy, and like, right. I didn't even know he'd even known about the company. He goes, I've already been buying their stock for a while.
Right.
But I was
I get texts every day about the stock from agents that the timing just hasn't been quite right.
But how long before he would have just went over there anyways? How long before he would have just left me to go there, right? So if you don't look at this, if you don't at least know it and say what's your value proposition, if you're just an independent broker or you're a team leader or something like that, you just got to be aware of it. It might not be the right time for you. Maybe you're an influencer and you get the vision and you're like, dude, and you use the analogy of taking your fires and putting them together. If that's right, go through the webinar, check it out, reach out to me, and let's get on a call and see what makes sense, because we are doing some freaking amazing stuff, and we just launched like yesterday. Like, we're just going, and my phone's been blowing up, man.
Yeah. It's and that's the cool thing about it is I've never had anyone that's involved in this group not answer the phone immediately, willing to help, do anything, go bend over backwards to help anybody. It doesn't matter who it is, really. Anybody. I save everybody's name in my phone that I've talked to you about eXp, and if you're on my team, I have a responsibility for your success, and that's how I'm treating it. I know that's how everyone that's on the dreaming team is treating it. And that's what makes it exciting, man. That's what I wanted to do my whole life. I want to work with high caliber people that are all about high performance. And I'm privileged to have that opportunity and thankful to eXp for the business model that Glenn has created for us to be able to a platform to do it. That's all I know.
You kind of had a little bit of an advantage, though, I will say, because you've worked with Mike, Mike Reese, for how long you guys have worked together for?
Since 2005.
Right, you guys have been great, but to have a partner, to have someone to be able to bounce ideas and be able to do all these different things, that is such a luxury. I mean, it's a lonely deal sometimes running a team and stuff like that. So
you need perspective,
being able to plug in and be able to get on a call with someone else that's sold $1 billion in real estate or gone through and say, dude, how do I scale my team from, how do I get it from 300 to 550? How do I get it to go there? How do I go in, and how do I grow my group to 3,000 or 5,000 or to be able to go, how do I bring in 1,000 people in a year like Brent did? Like, that's nuts, right? To be able to do those different things. Well, part of it is, you talked about some of the changes in real estate, that we're moving from caveman days, we're moving to technology, and some of the things that you're bringing to the table, and kind of like each player in this, we kind of bring a different thing, from myself and Chuck and you and Mike and Al and all the way up the line, and figuring out what do you need in your business, and then just trying to solve it, trying to bring those tools to you. That it's not something where, I mean, you've sold coaching and you've sold all these things, millions of dollars in that, but you probably get more joy out of just genuinely helping somebody build their business than trying to make $1,000 on someone coming to a seminar.
I hate selling stuff. I hate it. Okay, I like people. That's what I like. Where am I passionate? Why am I having so much fun? Because every day I get to talk to people, and at the end of the day, at the end of the conversation, I don't have to ask you for a penny. I can tell you the offer is real simple. You just got to spend $99, transfer your license over to eXp, and you get all of this. And that's what, and every day
And
I
you
get
help
to
them
live
go
out
make more
that.
money, right?
Right. I mean, all I get to do is help people make more money all day long. I have no reason to go try to side. You can go buy it right now. If you want to go buy coaching, it's $12.97 a month. We got maybe 10 spots left. Okay. It's a
Yeah.
little bit limited in terms of what I can do with the resources of coaching. You can buy stuff, but every time I come up with a better solution to help you with your business, I'm going to have to sell it to you because that would be my business model. What eXp has done is created an alignment where I'm incentivized to help you be more successful and help you tell more people about this opportunity, put systems in place to help you be more successful, create a passive income, create a better life, a legitimate opportunity to have a retirement that could be worth who knows what.
Right.
That is way more exciting for me to not have to ask you for your credit card at the end of the conversation.
Right. Hey, so I know we're going to be wrapping up here in just a second. I'm not sure if there's any questions or different things like that, but I think I'd be remiss if, like, going through this process, there's so many people that helped out, and I know you guys probably, if you're watching this, if you're even remotely thinking about it, we'll try and help walk you through the process and find out if it's right. Because here's the deal. We're not going to try and push people to do something that's not right because it might not be the right time, might not be the right opportunity, right, for what your thing is. But if you are, let's go through and let's have that. Let's talk it out, right? Let's go through, watch the webinar, take a look at it, and let's get on a call. And depending on what your situation is, let's get the right people on the call that can help fix your business with it. But there's just some incredible people that helped, come down. Rob Flick came down, right before Christmas, came down, spent hours trying to go through because he was trying to help out Brent Gove, trying to go through Brian Colhane. He came, I met multiple times and spent countless hours. One of the co-founders, and he's here in Arizona, and they're just givers, man. Just people are just such givers. People. And then even in your group, having the chance to, we're going to go up to Jackson Hole, we're going to go crush it. John Cheplick. I mean, he's teaching. Not that he's necessarily a part of the group, but you get access to different people through associations and different things like that really help build your business. So even if you're like, because I'm not big into the MLM thing. It's just not a big deal to me. But I love helping. I want to serve people, and this is a way to actually to prove to people that, hey, you know what, we're on the same side of the table, and that's what I've always looked for when I had my own brokerage. Is it didn't matter. I tried profit sharing. I tried everything. I tried to give the best splits. It didn't matter. I remember at one point I had essentially somebody. It felt like it was over 100% split. I mean, that's what it just felt like all the time because it was never enough. It wouldn't have mattered, right? Because I could never
all the money and then some, and you're still not happy.
Totally, and it didn't matter because I could never prove to them that I was legitimately trying to help their business. Because if they have that idea that you're the boss, you're the enemy,
or that you're making money, it's your business, you're making all the money.
Yeah. And then one last thing with it is I remember when I was at Keller Williams, one of the things that really stood out to me, I used to go to the masterminds with Gary Keller. I think he's brilliant, but he's brilliant because he's at the top of the food chain, for one thing.
Right.
But one of the things, we were in a small mastermind. I know they're super big now, but at the time there's probably 40, 50 people in there, just some incredible producers, just icons in the business. And I remember, people were kind of getting, I don't know, not really mouthy, but they were kind of getting cocky about stuff. And all of a sudden he just stopped one time. He just stopped. And he goes, you know what? And he kind of got a pissy attitude, which he didn't get very often, but he's pretty blunt. And he goes, y'all think you're just, in this Texas thing, y'all think you're just so, bright and everything. He goes, you guys are like in the little kid room. And everyone's like, did he just say that? Like, what is it? He's like, y'all in the little kid room. He goes, the big kid room is next door. That's the owners. You guys are in the little kid room. And it was like, what? Like, everyone's like, we thought we had this team. And he's like, you guys aren't even owners. You guys don't even own it. Like, you're helping us make money. And I was like, whoa, just right? But for the first time, we could actually be stockholders and owners in a it's not a franchise, right? And you get an agent-owned business that we actually get to say, hey, we're all in this together and we're building this. And that's what just get jacked up, man.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. I love it. It's good. Model is good.
Yeah.
Hey, Curtis, I know you got to run. It's 3:00, man. Thank you for spending the time and sharing your perspective and your story.
Cool.
It's one of the proudest moments of my life getting to work with you every day. I already know
it's awesome.
why I want to work with people like you is because you don't sleep, no different than I don't sleep. And
tireless, baby.
You were
We're
up at 2
going.
o'clock this morning. That you were up at 2 o'clock. I'm getting messages at 2 in the morning and 4 in the morning. I'm like, how's he doing that? And like, there ain't a lot of time for sleep here. But that's what
Dude,
happens when when this kind of opportunity is in front of you and you see it. You just can't unsee it.
I'm just so excited. You just kind of, after a while, you kind of get not really a bad attitude. You kind of just think, well, that's just the way real estate's going to be. It's just going to be slinging lock boxes, and it's just going to be you talk about, you were saying you sold 50 houses in 1 month, and you're like, oh, you know what, I got a deal? Go sell 50 houses the next month, and you're
Right,
starting
right.
over.
Good job. Hey, good job. Get back in the game, buddy. You got to go do it again.
Yeah, you know what, but
It doesn't have to suck. It doesn't have to suck. If it
no,
sucks for you right now, it doesn't have to suck. That's
no,
the
it
bottom line.
doesn't have to suck. And the cool thing is that we can bring value, and that's the thing that I'm just really excited about. And I thought, we got a really cool team. I thought we were going to lose half the team to go. They're not going to be interested in, but I had to make that decision. Like Brent Gove said, hey, you got to be ready to go. If every single person, your 20, 25 people on your team, if they all said, go pound sand, you're going to do it by yourself. And I went through, and at first I wasn't ready to do that. And I was like, okay, no, I just don't want to do it. And then I thought, you know what? This is such a good opportunity. Even if they all walked out, I'm that committed to going to do it with my business partner, and gone through, and almost every single one of them, is like, dude, this is amazing, because like you talked about, we're going to change their life.
Right, it's better for it. Everyone has this fear of, I don't know what my team's going to think, but when they see, okay,
Yeah.
ownership, okay, you're not giving me that, okay, and there's an opportunity for revenue share, and you have a system to help me do it, and you're gonna close them all because I don't want to talk to people about it. I'd rather you do that.
They want your technology. They want all your coaching. I mean, they're sick of hearing me. They want your stuff. They want Brent Gove's stuff, right? They want access to Chuck to help coach. Like they want all these different things that it gives a different perspective, and it's kind of like, yeah, you already have all this stuff, but it's just stacking on top of it. Just like as you say, it's just silly.
Stacking the value. It's adding value to people's lives. I'm telling you, it's fun. It's fun, and it's a better model. So yeah, I appreciate everybody hanging in there. This is we went for a good run on this one. I think everybody got a lot of value.
Hope so.
And hopefully got a couple chuckles out of some of those stories. But Curtis, I appreciate it, and
All
I
right,
look
man.
forward to this journey together and
Blow it
crushing
up.
it. So you know it.
All right.
Take care, guys.